Okay, I mentioned to you some time ago that there was rumors, and I saw this in the Israeli media, that there was rumors that Netanyahu was looking to expel the Gazans, the Palestinians from Gaza, was looking to expel them from Gaza and dump them in Africa. And I discussed that back then. That was under the Biden administration. Now I'm seeing news, a recent one just came up now, that Donald Trump and the United States and Netanyahu and Israel are looking to expel the Palestinians from Gaza and bring them into Africa. Specifically, 3 countries were mentioned. Sudan, well, you can say 2 depending, because one of them is not internationally recognized, but Sudan, Somalia, and Somaliland. Sudan has refused this, and they said that they are not going to bring the Gazans into their, or the Palestinians in Gaza into their country. Because if you think about it, Sudan is already at war. So why would you want to add more problem to the Sudanese situation? So Sudan has refused this and said they are not going to open their country for such an ethnic cleansing. But then Somalia and Somaliland have said that they are not aware of this, that this is they denied knowledge about this. So one thing I want to mention about this is I just want to remind you that when we spoke about this the last time, right, the country or the region that seemed more feasible for me was Somaliland. Somaliland, because number one, it's looking for international recognition. And if Donald Trump recognizes Somaliland as a country, that gives it clout on international level. Apart from that, also Somaliland, Israel is setting up a military base allegedly setting up a military base in Somaliland, funded in part or in whole by the United Arab Emirates, under the guise that they want to be able to have a front against the Houthis in Yemen. Right? So this is the situation where I say if any country might accept this kind of thing, it might be Somaliland. And even under the Biden administration, there's been several visits of United States military officials or officials in general, visits to Somaliland and even Somalia. So the louder this thing gets, the more that I believe that there is a plan to ethnic cleanse Gaza, to ethnically cleanse Gaza, remove the Palestinians from their ancestral home and bring them into Africa. This is why you see that these people, when people say, I've said this in several times on this show, that these loudest noisemakers about, human rights, they are the biggest abusers of human rights. They are. Because if human rights meant anything, and if the United Nations Charter means anything, ethnic cleansing is a crime. In fact, it was because of this United Nations that the state of Israel was set up. These United Nations. Well, here we are. Everybody's behaving, United States and Israel, under Trump and Netanyahu, they're behaving anyhow. No regard for international law, because international law didn't mean anything to begin with. After, when they talk, you don't hear them say, the Americans and the Europeans, you don't hear them say international law. What did they say? The rules-based order. Rules-based order is that I can do anything I want to do. And you just, rules for you and not for me. That's what it is. That's what it is. And think about these African countries that they want to dump the Palestinians in. Sudan is at war. The war broke out in 2023. April of this year is going to make it 2 years of war. 2 years of war that has led to some really despicable war crimes committed by the RSF. We've seen massive sexual assaults. We've seen indiscriminate killing of civilians. We've seen destruction of farms, everything. That even the Sudanese, the ethnic Sudanese, the people from the country are running into neighboring countries for their safety, and you want to bring the Palestinians from Gaza and dump them in Sudan. Because you don't have regard for human life. What they call it? Human rights mean nothing to you. Tell me which other country on the planet will do such a thing and get away with it. Tell me, what other country on the planet, like other than United States and Israel, would do such a despicable thing and even have the audacity to even plan it? Egypt sent a plan for Gaza after the war, right? And the Arab states sent to, and the United States refused it. So if the one that Egypt and the Arab states sent is not good enough, you see, to to take the Palestinians away from Gaza and dump them like trash in another country. Is that a good plan? Is that a better plan? Because they've said it several times and they've shown it in the video. They want to turn Gaza to the real estate project. They want, after Donald Trump's son-in-law is a real estate developer. He's into real estate and he has projects in Israel. He has projects in Israel and even the occupied West Bank. So maybe what they did in the West Bank, they also want to do that in Gaza. Human rights does not mean anything. It does not mean anything. Look at Somalia that they want to send the Palestinians to. Somalia is dealing with terrorism. The country is always, every day, you're hearing some really terrible stories coming out of Somalia with terrorism. Funded by who? Allegedly, the USAID. After all, when Netanyahu wrote his book, I believe his 1995 book, he wrote, right? And he spoke about countries that they need to overthrow. United States needs to overthrow in a space of, well, they said it was going to be in a space of 5 years. The countries that they mentioned, Sudan is part of it. Somalia is part of it. Yes. They successfully destroyed Sudan. They successfully destroyed Somalia, which led to the birth of Somaliland. They did it. Yet the countries that you set on fire with your regime change operation, your allegedly funding terrorism, the countries you set on fire are the same countries you now want to come and dump the Palestinians in. See, Africa, let me tell you something here. The most important thing for us is to be militarily strong militarily and economically. I'm telling you, once you're strong militarily and economically, many of this nonsense we're not going to see. We need, even if it's just a handful of African countries, right, that are so rich and they are so militarily strong that they can, and they have the interest of Africa at heart, that can speak for the whole continent. I'm telling you, it's existential that we have such a thing. If not, this nonsense is, we'll keep seeing it. After that, I told you, each time I talk about things like this, I tell you, will you see them do this in Russia? They dare not now. Since that they've been trying to use Ukraine to weaken Russia, and it has failed. After when they do, I think that was 2023. Yeah, it was 2023 when they were saying that, oh, they've defeated Russia and Ukraine. And a journalist asked Putin, and Putin's response was very interesting. Putin said, they've defeated us. Let them come to Moscow and have tea. Because they hadn't. Okay, look at now, they're trying to run around for ceasefire because Ukraine has lost. Even I don't want to go into that conversation, because that conversation, each time I think about what Zelensky did, yes, you can say, oh, United States did it, NATO did it, quite all right. But Zelensky, to me, he is the most responsible for the destruction of his country. Because if outsiders want to destroy your country, you either say yes or you say no. But he followed them and he played along, and look what happened to Ukraine. Right? Look what they're trying to do. I keep saying they can't do this kind of thing in China because China is strong. China is strong. But Africa, we just have weak states. Economically weak, militarily weak, everything weak, politically weak, nothing. That is why they will keep using us they keep using us to have a field day. That is it. So let me know what you think about, for it to come out again, this is a serious plan in the Trump White House to dump the Palestinians from Gaza into Africa. So let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. Share your thoughts with me, and don't forget to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and hit that share button so that we can spread this word across the world, so that Africa's voice can be heard on a global scale. And if you want to support the work that I'm doing here, the Buy Me a Coffee link is in the description, and it's also on the screen. Thank you.